and welcome everyone to the This Calls for Confetti YouTube channel. Thanks for joining me. I'm Lisa. So today we're going to be doing some real clean and simple Easter cards. Now laid out here in front of me, I have some of our spring products. On the left, you're going to see our layering stencil called For the Love of Carrots. I love this stencil set because even though it is called For the Love of Carrots, I'm telling you, you can use it for so many things. Now there in the middle, we have our Easter rub-on transfers. I love rub-on transfers. They're great for creating a faux foiled look. You won't need a lot of extra equipment to create a foiled look with these. You just simply cut out the piece that you want to use and then rub it on. One of the biggest reasons that I wanted to carry them in our shop was because you can actually use these on our shaker pouches. So any of our acetate products that we carry to create shakers, this works great on. Also here is the excellent A2 cover plate die, and there's 2 stencils in this cover plate die set. So I'm going to be using the 2 stencils from this. We also have another die set here. This is just 2 outline dies. They're egg shaped, and they also come with stencils. Now, if you're wondering why do stencils with something like this, because a lot of times when I'm die cutting, I can do a 2-for-1 card, and maybe I want to do some masking with my cutout egg and just do some ink splattering on it, but I've already got it on my card. So these stencils are great for masking as well as for stenciling. So keep that in mind when you're using them. Also, a free printable. I have the link down below for you. It is a PDF file. You can download it and print it out. It's going to come with the sentiments on the left. It prints on an 8.5 by 11. It's 2 bunny ears, and then you're going to get this bunny bait. Now, the bunny bait on the right there has the egg outline. The one that I've updated does not have the egg outline. I went without the egg outline. Sorry about that. And you can see here, you're going to get 3 bunny baits out of this. Now, if you cut that egg out, you can line it up with those bunny ears. So just remember, you're getting 2 sets of the bunny ears, the bunny bait, and all of the sentiments on that 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. And these bunny ears are so cute. You can print these with an inkjet printer, and if you do, you can print them in a color. You will not be able to foil them if you use an inkjet printer. Know that now. You can never foil with an inkjet printer. If you happen to have a laser printer that uses toner instead of ink, then you can foil with that. So always remember that if you want to foil, you need a laser printer that uses toner. The toner in these laser printers, it's tiny little particles of plastic, and it's laid down on the paper. And once it's laid down on the paper and heated, it's set. But when you put your foil over it and run it through your Mink or your laminator, it reheats, and that's what causes your foil to stick to the paper and the design. So it won't stick to the paper, it sticks to the design. So let me clarify that. So I wanted to show you real quick how that was laid out. So you saw you have the sentiments, the 2 bunny ears, and then the bunny bait. So moving on, we're going to go ahead and jump straight into this process because it is super simple. Okay, you can see here I've laid down my card base. I've laid the stencil down where I want it positioned, that center egg. Now, the reason that I have this all masked off like this is because I want to do the eggs a little bit closer together than they're actually laid out on the stencil. So I decided the best way to do that is just to come in, mask all the other eggs off, and just use 1 egg for the whole process. So I have it where I want it. You can see it's lined up on the crosshairs on my glass mat. I've grabbed some Distress Oxide in very light colors. So I have Spun sugar, I believe, and dried marigold and scattered straw. We're going to start with the, I almost messed up right there and started with the pink in the center. And then I realized, wait a minute, I want orange in the center. So I'm doing the dried marigold right in the center. So easy. I'm not worried about any techniques here. We are just making sure we're getting ink laid down on that paper. Once we have the dried marigold laid down, we're going to shift our stencil over to the right and come in with scattered straw. Now, you see, I have a lot of masking tape laid out there, and you don't need that much masking tape. I get a little bit crazy when I start ink blending or laying ink down on stuff. And I sometimes just get so into it, I don't think about around the area that I'm inking up. And I tend to get ink in places where it shouldn't be. So I get a little overzealous with the masking just to protect the work area, right? Because I know what's going to happen if I don't. I'm going to end up having ink at the top of the card where I don't want it, and then I'm going to just be frustrated. So I find it better just to go ahead, lay down as much masking paper as I feel is necessary to keep my card base clean, because remember, this is directly on the card base. I don't want to have to go back and redo this. I shifted that stencil to the left once I finished with the scattered straw, and then I inked up with spun sugar. So from left to right, we have spun sugar, dried marigold, and scattered straw. Now, in the very center here, I'm going to grab some solar paste. Now, I'm new to solar paste. I did buy it when it first came out, and it's been sitting in my little cubbies here in my craft room, and I really need to get it out and use it. I haven't been one to use paste very often because you have to wait for them to dry. And there's this whole thought process when you're creating videos of creating ahead of time so that things are dry. And well, I need to improve in that area. So I'm going to go ahead though, and we're going to play with this solar paste. This is Overheated, and I'm going to lay it down right in over the polka dots on my stencil. And I'm only going to do one egg on this because I feel like it adds just the right amount of interest to the card. You're going to see me on the next card actually finger paint with the solar paste. Right now, I'm going to bring in an offset spatula. An offset spatula is simply a spatula that is bent down, and you see them a lot in the baking industry. You can pick these up at Walmart. You can find them online on Amazon, baking shops, just different places. They also sell crafty ones that are plastic. I prefer metal when I'm doing any kind of paste. I just like the results I get. Now, you don't need a lot. You also really don't need a big bench scraper for this little egg. But I will say this, I prefer a metal bench scraper over a plastic one because it doesn't leave the lines. I get this beautiful smooth finish once I'm done with it. So once I finish laying the paste down, I take the scraper, and you don't press down on it, the bench scraper. You don't put pressure on it. You lay it down and you pull it towards you, just gliding it over the work area. And then once you have everything filled in, you're going to go ahead, remove the stencil, clean everything up. I just use baby wipes to wipe everything down because I knew I was going to be using it again. And then I set that card off to the side and I let it dry. So while we let that set to the side to dry, we're going to go ahead and start working on a second card. I'm going to be using our layering stencil for the love of carrots. Now, I love this stencil because it's so easy to use for so many things. And while it is a layering stencil and you can create this gorgeous pattern to cut out for backgrounds or, whatever you need to use it for on your card, you can also use it like I'm using it here to create your own little scene on your card base. So I'm going to work with the carrots and the stems from this. There's 4 layers. The one I have here is the carrots. You're going to notice they're like an oblong heart shape. So you can use these to create Valentine cards as well. I have a sample of that over on our website. If you look up the For the Love of Carrots layering stencil, you're going to see that sample that I created using the hearts from this stencil set. So cool. So I'm using again the dried marigold, and the leaves on the top I used bundle sage. Now I went ahead and laid the leaves down first because they are a little bit longer, so I wanted to make sure that I had them exactly where I wanted them, and I had enough room to add my carrot, and everything seemed to be pretty centered. I'm going to shift the stencil to the left now and go ahead and lay down the second heart, and then we're going to shift it to the right and do the same thing, and then I'll come back in and add the rest of the leafy stems across the top. Now you notice I'm working in threes. I worked in threes with the eggs, and I'm working in threes with the carrots. And this is an easy way, if you're ever struggling with creativity, work in threes like this. It's simple, but it's enough to get you going, right? And they say that by working in threes, it creates a rhythm. And for us humans, we love this rhythm because it's an internal sense of balance and order for us. That's what they say. So, and I have to say, and I'm not going to disagree with them here because I love the way these cards turned out. They're very simple, but they are very pleasing. So I'm coming in now with the leafy stem on the left. I'm going to shift it over to the right and then ink that up with that bundled sage. One of my favorite colors in Distress Oxides is bundled sage. It has such a great lamb's ear color to it that I love it because I love the modern farmhouse look, and this color just plays so well with that. So kudos to Tim Holtz for that color because, man, it's amazing. So now that we have our stuff laid down, we're going to come in with more solar paste, and this time we're actually going to be finger painting with the solar paste. So we're going to come in with more solar paste. I mentioned earlier we're going to do a little bit of finger painting with this. So I'm bringing in the color Crocodile Tears. I've lined my leafy stem stencil back up over the center ink blended area there, and I'm laying down the solar paste with my finger. And it's just going to give it a nice little shimmer. It's going to give it a little bit of texture because it's going to kind of collect along the edges of the stencil. And then once you lift this up, you're still going to be able to see some dimension there, but it's also got that beautiful shimmer that this solar paste gives. I decided we were going to do the same thing with two of the carrots. So the carrot on the left and the carrot on the right, I'm going to go ahead and add some of that overheated solar paste to those areas. Now I'm going to use the detail stencil. This stencil set has 4 stencils total in it. And this is the details for the carrots, but you can use this stencil for so many things. I used it just to add little black lines on my Valentine card that I mentioned earlier in the video. And remember, you can check it out over on our website. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to carefully line this detail up over the right carrot, and I'm using my finger to lay down that overheated solar paste. And notice how I'm holding the edge of the stencil up. That's so it doesn't touch the solar paste I already laid down because it's still wet. I haven't allowed that time to dry. And that's what I said I need to practice on creating with the solar, using paste, wet products, I should say, during my videos. So in reality, I should have done each step along the way and let it dry and then gone back and recorded again. But I didn't because I'm so used to recording my process as I'm working. So like I said, we're going to need to do some rethinking on process videos. Not a problem. I got this. I can handle it. So I'm doing the same thing here with the carrot on the left. I'm using my finger to lay that paste down over the stencil and holding that stencil up. It's not that difficult to do. So if this is something you wanted to do real quick, and one thing about laying the paste down with your finger, I notice it dries pretty quick. Whereas when you lay down the paste with the spatula, it's a little bit thicker, so it takes it longer to dry. So we will set this aside and let it dry. I'm going to clean up, and then we're going to come in and we're going to cut out a couple of sentiments to add to our cards, and that's going to be it. These are so simple to make, but I absolutely love the way that they have turned out. So we're going to let these dry. I'm going to go ahead and work on trimming out my sentiments for both of the cards. And then I believe that's going to be wrapping us up on this. This process is super simple, It's great for someone who's struggling with creativity. It gets you in your craft room and putting something on paper. And I've found once I start to put stuff down on paper and create, then my creativity starts to grow again. You do have to use it to let it grow. I know sometimes it's hard to get in there and get motivated. Trust me, I know this. I've been struggling with crafting for some months now. As some of you know, my mom passed away in September, and it has not been an easy road for me. But I have to keep moving forward for her and for my family. So I'm just taking it day by day and trying to do the best that I can. And, if that means some days I don't craft, then I just don't craft. But I have found that by not crafting, my creativity has literally shrunk down. I struggle when I come in here now to come up with ideas. But I know as soon as I start to get in here and start using that creativity again, that the ideas will come to me easy, and they'll flow more freely. So with that said, let's go ahead and have a look at our cards. And I'm going to let you know that all the products I've used or talked about are linked down below in the description box. We would appreciate it if you headed over to our blog post and subscribed and checked us out over there, as well as subscribe here. We are a new channel. We are a fairly new company here in the craft community. We have some really cool things coming out very soon. Our first stamp sets will be coming out, and one of them is very near and dear to my heart. I can't wait to share that with you. If we can get through all the tears, it'll be great. So I hope that you subscribe to the YouTube channel, you head over to the website, subscribe to the blog, hit us up with the newsletter so you'll know when the new products are coming out. Again, I have everything linked down below that I used during the video. Please know anytime you want to reach out to me, you can reach out to me through our email. You can also follow us on Instagram and Pinterest, and we hope to see you there as well. I really do appreciate you all so very much for joining me here today on our YouTube channel. Until next time, please take care.